Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. We are taking a look at a first-round NFL mock draft, specifically taking a look at that Carolina Panthers draft strategy because as you are going to see, they kind of get a little bit screwed as the picks unfold. Getting into the mock, before we do that, obviously we appreciate all the support you guys are showing to the channel. If you guys like the video, like the content, please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. We love talking ball in the comment section. Let's get into this draft. Aiden Hutchinson going number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Chalk. Kyle Hamilton. Dill, this was a pick from you. Kyle Hamilton, that second player off the board. He's just one of the best prospects in the draft. It's a position of need. No Aiden Hutchinson on the board. Go get your guy.
Yeah, it's very possible pick for sure.
Now,
this is where it gets tough.
Yeah, here's where the Panthers kind of get screwed a little. Evan Neal, Texans could certainly go tackle. Jets go tackle. Giants go tackle.
I think the Jets are the team. The Jets, or frankly the Jags, are the team that could really throw a monkey wrench into what the Panthers maybe want to do with the tackle. Because I think if either of those teams go tackle, they're in grave danger of having 3 go before 6.
So now we specifically did this so we could talk about kind of a nightmare scenario for the Carolina Panthers. Do we think that the Jets should be going tackle at the number 4 spot with Kayvon Thibodeau on the board? No. That being said, we kind of want to talk about a very real possibility if the Jets go tackle, because I think the Giants and Texans probably will go tackle. What happens if there's no tackle on the board at number 7? That's obviously the position of need for Carolina. This is where I start thinking they shop around that pick. They might be shopping around that pick in general because they don't pick till the 4th round, I believe. They don't have a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So they might be shopping around in general. That team has plenty of needs. But I think one of the teams that could be calling is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They clearly like Malik Willis.
That's a clear one. But the tough part is I don't think that's a valuable pick in this draft.
No.
For almost every team.
Well, if no quarterbacks are off the board and that number 6 pick could be QB1 on people's boards, I think it has a little bit of value. But again,
to who besides the Steelers? Because we know the Steelers kind of like
the Seahawks. I think
Malik
could jump
Willis.
the Falcons. I think.
But in saying that, I agree. But you don't think the Seahawks kind of? I mean, unless the Falcons make a run at them, which they might.
They could, for sure could. And you don't want to play around with that. Like, that's like you got to go get your guy. You don't want to play around with that.
I just don't see them giving that much up to the Panthers. I don't think the Panthers come out that great in that trade. They'll probably get the 1st round pick this year and then maybe a 2nd or 3rd or something.
No, they got 20 1st round pick this year and they got the Steelers 2nd round pick. So they got
I agree with the Steelers. The Steelers, of course, you're not answering the question, though.
What's your
question? Steelers clearly have a ton of value for that pick, right? And they'll trade a lot, potentially, to get it. I do not think that the Seahawks would be willing to trade that much. I think what the Panthers might get.
But then again, they're only going down a couple spots. So it's definitely you're not getting as much because you're going from 6 to 9. So
yeah, but you're losing Kayvon. So you are kind of losing a lot.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. We'll see how much. I don't think there's going to be that much trading up in general like we saw last year because the quarterback class isn't that good. And so I don't think teams like the 49ers did last year, the Bears did last year, are going to be itching to trade up to get one of these quarterbacks that's just kind of lackluster. And I think that's what kind of screws the Detroit Lions too. I think the Detroit Lions would be a perfect trade candidate to trade down a little bit, get more draft capital to fill out that roster even more if Aiden Hutchinson goes 1. But there's not going to be that many teams chomping at the bit to go give up all this draft capital to go get a Malik Willis, who's just extremely unproven.
That's why I think it would be such a brutal issue for the Panthers if they can't get one of those tackles. Because in my opinion, what they probably should just do is take Kayvon, because that would pretty much likely mean Kayvon or Hamilton's on the board.
Yep. It would mean that.
And it's really not God forbid you have to take a top 3 player at 6. It's not that bad of a situation.
They could certainly do that. I just think the Panthers are candidates to trade down because they have legitimately no picks in day 2. And so if you can start it's the Panthers are in a horrible spot to be in that because that team is not that good. And how you rebuild is through the draft. And not having the draft capital to kind of get that rebuild going is not.
Yeah, but if they can get like some high impact defensive guys, like their defense might be good enough to make a kind of some inroads
your
if they
take
can
is
just get
Kayvon.
decent.
Your take is Kayvon at 6
Or Kyle. It depends on which one kind of made it back.
Yeah, either one. I personally probably in more of the trade down, just going to get more picks.
I just don't think anyone's going to trade him much besides maybe the Steelers. I do think the Steelers.
They're not going to be that good.
I agree with that. The Steelers, if the Steelers come up and offer them the first round this year, the first round next year,
and 52
and some picks, you take that trade for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the only team. That's the only way they could get 2 first round.
I do think you make a good point. It's not nightmare scenario if they have to take. Like, God forbid you have to take Kyle Hamilton and Kayvon Thibodeau with that number 6 overall pick. Those guys are both very good prospects who are going to be good in the NFL.
Problem is, it doesn't help them figure out if Sam Darnold can play.
I've already determined Sam Darnold cannot play, so they're in the, and then they might. Hey, the last thing is they might just go take Malik Willis themselves because they don't have. They need a quarterback too, so they could go.
Depends
a lot
on kind
ways.
of where Matt Rule thinks. Well, I guess it's not his pick, but
I see again. I think
think
Matt Rule should be picking a quarterback just because he gives himself that extra couple of years. Because it's not.
There's just no way he has that choice because he's not good enough coach. Like I feel like the good coaches can help influence picks. The bad coaches,
less so. The new and bad coaches, exactly. So Kayvon Thibodeau ends up falling to 7 to the Giants, which is just an absolute steal of the draft. Dill, we're just gonna breeze through. What'd you say?
No, that'd be so nice. Yeah. It'd really work out well for them.
Yeah, we're going to breeze through these next couple picks because we primarily wanted to talk about that kind of Carolina Panthers scenario. Garrett Wilson at 8, I think that's great. They're getting wide receiver 1. I think wide receiver 1 could go as high as 4 to the Jets. They get wide receiver 1 at 8. They need a wide receiver in that room. They go get Garrett Wilson. Derek Stingley, probably just in my mind, the best player available. I'm still very high on Derek Stingley. I think him and Sauce Gardner are very close. I still give the edge to Derek Stingley just based on the physical tools. And then the Jets get lucky again. If they can go, say they use that pick on a tackle, Charles Cross, or even they go wide receiver and Sauce Gardner's there at 10 or Kyle Hamilton, I think that'd be a great draft class for them.
Kyle Hamilton, come on. He won't be there. But
Sauce Gardner too, though. That'd also be a great pick.
Yeah,
you are convinced Kyle Hamilton is not. Do you know what the DraftKings prop is for Kyle Hamilton?
No.
Well, I'm going through some of these picks. Pull it up. I'm interested to see what it is.
Fine.
Chris Olave, the Commanders, they need a wide receiver. I love the Buckeye combo with him and Terry McLaurin. I'm not as down as many people are about Carson Wentz. Still, I know you kind of given up on him. I think that team can still be solid.
Fell off the bandwagon this year was too much.
Yeah, Dill and I were in the Wentz camp until this year, and then
did you see him throw that pick against San Francisco? Like, come on.
It was tough. Trent McDuffie, that's tough for the Vikings. I think they could go Jermaine Johnson. I think they could go Trevon Walker. They end up going Trent McDuffie. And then Trevon Walker goes 13 again. I have Jermaine Johnson, who ends up falling to 27, well higher than Trevon Walker. Not well higher, but higher than Trevon Walker. But it seems like a lot of NFL teams are in the Trevon Walker camp.
Media.
For better, for worse.
But move on.
You got the prop?
No, it's just the media does it.
Oh.
I'm still looking for the prop.
George Karlaftis to 14. That's I think they could go Jordan Davis, but I like the idea.
It's not a
of
bad
having
pick.
George Karlaftis, who's very versatile, can play inside, outside, on the edge. And Kobe Dean, again, our linebacker 1. This is where I took the draft by the reins and started taking my influence on it. And Kobe Dean is the best linebacker in the country. The film shows it. I don't care if he lacks a little bit of length because it didn't seem like if it wasn't a problem at the highest level of the SEC, it's not going to be a problem in the pros.
That's my whole opinion.
And then you pair him up with Jordan Davis. Another take is like, oh, he didn't have many interior offensive linemen working out to him. Well, Jordan Davis is going to make any linebacker's life a hell of a lot easier. Kobe Dean, Jordan Davis, I love that combo. And then here's another thing I want to talk about a little bit is we're going to see a little run on wide receivers. We saw Garrett Wilson go. We saw Chris Olave go. There's a lot of teams towards the back end of this first round NFL draft that want a wide receiver. So we see Devontae Wyatt go off the board. We got Kenny Pickett going to the Saints, which I'm about. But then we got Jameson Williams going to the Eagles. The Eagles could certainly take a wide receiver with one of those 3 first-round picks. Devin Lloyd ends up falling to number 20. That's who the Panthers end up going with, which is more just
I actually think that would shake out okay.
Yeah, it's a value pick for Carolina.
Yeah, you get really good value. You get a position of need.
Yep.
And you get some draft picks next year to maybe make a run at a really good quarterback, depending on what the Berg does and what they do.
So, I mean, Carolina will be bad. Pittsburgh will be bad. So they could certainly be having like a giant scenario where they have that 5 and 7. And maybe you can make a move to that top 3 and get CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, one of those guys. Or Will Henderson, who's going to be probably maybe a first-round overall pick as well. Here's what I want to talk about. Then Drake London goes off the board, and the Packers, they desperately need a quarterback. I don't like Treylon Burks. I think, if anything, the Packers should be taking a Jahan Dotson. But those top wide receivers are off the board. I think the Packers are really hoping to Garrett Wilson, to Chris Olave, a Jameson Williams falls, but they end up not falling, and so they have to take Treylon Burks, Tyler Linderbaum, and then Trevor Penning. I think you take him now, put him at guard for right now, and then see if he can be a tackle later on in his career. Andrew Booth, a huge position of need for the Bills. I think they need to take a cornerback. Kenyon Green, just a great fit. Jermaine Johnson, steal of the draft. Bernie Ryman, kind of a tackle to kind of the future after Bakhtiari. Ajabo falls because of the injury, Daxton Hill. I mean, the Chiefs are another team that they could certainly use a wide receiver. They just go get – who is the kid from Green Bay that
Valdez
they just got?
Scantling.
Who's just not good. He's just
that's not going to shake it up. That was too much money too.
It was nuts. It was like, just because he's fast, like, come on. But like, they could certainly be in the round for a wide receiver. I think Jahan Dotson could be the pick. Sky Moore, Christian Watson. Yes, it's a reach, but it's a position that you guys, I think, that's really need. But you do get 2 solid prospects in David Ajabo and Daxton Hill. Kairi Elam and then Leo Chanel. I threw him in there. I don't know if they go linebacker there at 32. I love Leo Chanel. He's working up to the top 5 position group in that linebacker core. But primarily, we wanted to run this NFL mock draft to take a look at the Carolina Panthers draft strategy and certainly get prepared for what happens if those 3 tackles are gone and you're not comfortable taking a quarterback. You're kind of screwed.
Yeah, that's it. Because I don't know if this matters, but you haven't heard a whisper of possibility that the Panthers are looking at quarterback. Like the Steelers are, some of these other teams, the Seahawks are, because they did just ship.
The Falcons, I think, could be too with trading Matt Ryan.
Yep. So that's why it ultimately comes down to, wherever Baker fits in, will probably take one team off the board. And
Jimmy G might go somewhere too if they decide to go with Trey Lance.
Yes, you're right.
So we'll start getting a clear role of like which teams really need, because there are a few teams that they just need to take quarterback.
It just seems like the Panthers are somewhat comfortable with Darnold going forward at this point.
It's wild.
And it's hard to tell, but like that's what I get the feeling.
Yep.
Which is wild, but that's what all the more worse if they get saddled with this situation with the runs on the tackles. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Did you find the draft prop?
No. Just tell me what it is. I don't know.
I didn't find it yet. That was your task.
I don't look through the draft props on DraftKings yet. It's too early.
No, not too early for me. We're taking a look at draft position for Kyle. How do you not know how to find it?
If Kyle Hamilton's below 6, I would put my life on it.
6.5. The under's minus 140.
Okay, I'll hammer that under.
You don't think he falls?
I told you, I think he's arguably the best player in the draft, and I think that. So why would I think he's going to fall?
I got Drake London going over 10.5, by the way. But we're going to say that we are going to be taking a look at all the NFL draft props that we like. And this is probably a good time to talk about the watch party. We're going to be having a little watch party for the NFL draft. We'll be going live on our YouTube channel, having all our draft props. You guys have been just absolutely awesome talking about in the comment section. Feel free to pop in. We'll have a bunch of different guests on talking about how the draft is unfolding during draft night. Taking a look at our draft props. It's going to be a fun time. So stay tuned for that, y'all. But this is a review on that 2022 NFL first round mock draft, specifically looking at the Carolina Panthers and what they're doing if those tackles aren't on the board. I think we had a good solution for that. Just trade back, get draft capital that you just desperately need. get Devin Lloyd. You have 2 first rounds next year. You're kind of starting that rebuild. Or take Kayvon Thibodeau. One of the two. What?
Or Hamilton.
Guys. Or Kyle Hamilton. We appreciate you guys rocking with the ROC Boys as usual. We'll be back with some more NFL draft content as the draft comes closer, like 5 weeks away. That's
mouthful.
It's bearing down on the boys. We're trying to get all our position rankings set, our big board set, and still repping some mock drafts for y'all. So stay tuned for more content on that. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.